With the off day today, let's take a look at some of the Blue Jays' brightest young prospects, and they have been performing to start off this season. We're going to talk about Arelis Martinez's performance, his emergence in AAA Buffalo. We're going to talk about Addison Barger and Arjen Nallama, one of the bright young prospects for the Blue Jays. So we'll break that down and much more coming up next. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. Now, the off day today, rough loss yesterday for the Blue Jays. I think we had a night to sleep on it, and we're not too angry today. Got a 3-game set coming up tomorrow against the San Diego Padres. Doesn't get any easier from here on out. The Padres have been playing some good baseball. They got a very potent lineup of their own. So it's going to be a tough 3-game set for the Blue Jays, but hopefully they can go out and get a few wins over there. But we want to talk about some prospects on this off day, Nick. And there's been a lot of talk about Orelvis Martinez. When is he going to be ready to make the major league level? When is he going to make that jump? We've seen the progression from year to year in AA and AAA, and he's just getting better and better and better with each at bat. His plate discipline has skyrocketed. His swing and miss is down a tick as well. So he's looking like a much more complete hitter now. And that power, I mean, it's still there, and the Blue Jays could use some of it. So why not kick it off with him?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of prospects in the system that could really be knocking on the door for the Jays, whose offense has struggled to start the year. But a quick reminder, hit the subscribe button before we get into it. But yeah, let's start with exactly what you said, Peter, and that's Arelis Martinez. And if you look at some of his stats, the pipeline, just everything, if you've been kind of tuned in with the Jays, he might be looking to force the Blue Jays' hand over the next week or over the next couple months, depending on how the Jays, want to handle their prospects. You can see here he's 12 for 38 with 5 doubles through 10 games. He is the Blue Jays' number 2 prospect behind Ricky Tiedemann. He is the number 1 position player prospect. And Peter, he absolutely mashes the ball. He's at 3 exit velocities higher than 100 miles per hour today. We saw he had a 469-foot grand slam in the top of the 10th the other day. And when you look at his stats, he's having a very good start to the season this so far for AAA Buffalo, posting an 874 OPS. And he's a guy who hits for power. He absolutely mashes. And I don't know, Peter, maybe he could force himself onto the team sooner than we may think, even though they already have a ton of infielders. So it probably won't. But he's making the Jays think about some things.
Yes, absolutely. And he's not great defensively, which is why the Blue Jays had him as a second baseman for the majority of spring training. But what's really stood out to me with Orelvis Martinez is his plate discipline, how it was a big issue just 2 years ago when he was in AA, and that's to be expected. He's very young. He's still only 21 years of age, if I'm not mistaken. He might be 22 now, but he's still such a young prospect that he was going to have some of those growing pains. And you see those strikeout totals, 140 in 2022. He cut that down to 126 the year after that, and he's starting to slowly eliminate it from his game. You're seeing the on-base percentage climb up. You're seeing the batting average climb up. The slugging percentage is staying about the same because I think he's hit a few more doubles in the past couple of seasons as opposed to just going for home run or bust. But he's a big time power bat. He's got big time thunder in that bat of his, and I mean the Jays could use that. They're kind of middle of the pack right now in terms of home runs around Major League Baseball, and inserting an extra jolt into that lineup would be huge. I don't know if that would necessarily translate right away for Orelvis Martinez because hear Buck Martinez say it all the time. There's a huge difference between AAA pitching and Major League pitching. But as a 22-year-old in a league where a lot of guys are much older than him, he's holding his own. And not only holding his own, he's been dominant to start off the season. So maybe he might be forcing the Blue Jays' hand here because he's ultra talented, and I expect him to climb up the overall prospect rankings as well around Major League Baseball.
Yeah, currently number 83. If there's one thing that's going to hold him back, it will be that fact that the Blue Jays have Davis Schneider, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, Kevin Biggio, all these guys who can play around the diamond. But yeah, you mentioned, you look at his stats, he's just slowly become a better and better hitter, less strikeouts, and this season I think might be the one where all of it comes together. He's had the 2 home runs, 10 RBIs in 14 games, and I don't know, it's going to be something very interesting to keep an eye on, and hopefully he can continue to do this, even though it'll make it much more difficult for the Toronto Blue Jays because I mean, if he keeps playing this way, who knows what they're going to have to do. Maybe they use him as a trade chip. I wouldn't think so, but maybe they do. And I think he might force the Blue Jays' hand going forward a little bit here. But Peter, let's touch on Addison Barger a little bit here now. You can say Addison Barger is off to a great start. You can look at some of these advanced analytics. He has also shown great power and a knack for lifting the ball. Could be an impact bat for the Jays. We're talking about players who can make an impact this season. Addison Barger at 24 has a chance to do that. And obviously, these are a bunch of advanced analytics. The point is, he's barreling the ball. He's hitting it very, very hard. He has above an 800 OPS to start the year, and he had a bit of a slow end.
Over 900
now. Yeah, so he had a bit of a
900.
slow end
Yeah.
of the season last year. We're wondering maybe it was because of the injury he had, and he was out a bit of time. Peter, we've been on the Addison Barger train for over a year or two now, or about over a year and a half, and this might be the year we're in September, or maybe before, depending, because he can play the outfield. They call him up depending on how much Kiermaier continues to struggle hitting wise. Not necessarily, they're not going to release Kiermaier or anything like that, but maybe they want to get an extra a bat on the bench there that can play the outfield.
I think we'll start to see these guys a lot more starting next season. But again, if they keep playing this way, then yeah, it's definitely a conversation that needs to be had in terms of Addison Barger and Orelvis Martinez. And coming into this year, this was going to be a massive season for him because he underperformed very much so last season in 2023. He had an OPS of 745 across three different levels in 2023, and he battled some injuries. And then the year before that, in 2022, he was the best minor leaguer in the Blue Jays system. He had an OPS nearing 1,000, and it was like, okay, wow, this guy's knocking on the door. He's so unique. He's a left-handed hitter that has a cannon for an arm, can play multiple positions. He's jacked. He mashes the ball out of the ballpark. Like, all right, this guy's ready to go. We were all in on Addison Barger in spring training last year, and then things didn't really go his way in 2023. But now to start off this year, he's got a 935 OPS. He's got more walks than he does strikeouts, 12 walks to 11 strikeouts. It's a pretty good number. 435 on base, and he's hitting over 300. So this guy has been doing it all for the Bisons, been playing multiple positions as well. He's a very intriguing player, but again, you talk about that logjam, Nick. There is Davis Schneider. There is Kevin Biggio, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, guys that are have major league experience that are heavily relied upon, and Ernie Clement as well. Those guys are all relied upon at the big league level by the Blue Jays. And it's not necessarily an easy decision to just not go with them anymore and then turn it over to prospects. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think they're more projects for next year, but I would not be shocked if Orelvis Martinez or Addison Barger come up and contribute because they've been that good so far to start off the year.
Yeah, I think Barger has a better chance just because of, I mean, most of the things you said, 24, a bit older, and yeah, they've been playing him in the outfield a little bit. I could see him maybe getting a chance there, and very interesting, exciting prospect. And quickly, Peter, before we wrap up, just want to touch on Arjen Nallama. Obviously, he is the first-round draft pick of the Blue Jays, having a pretty rough start to the year at a 600 OPS. But this is the guy who probably has one of the highest ceilings of any of our prospects, aside from maybe Ricky Tiedemann. And Peter, just quick thoughts on him. He's now 18 years old, so he's very old at 18. He's the second year of playing professional baseball. And yeah, 600 OPS, a bit of a rough start, but he did hit his first home run so far, which got that out of the way. But I think he'll be just fine, and he's a guy to keep an eye on going forward. He might be our future player for the Toronto Blue Jays.
I definitely think he is. You look at this guy playing, he just has the look of a ball player. He's so smooth out there. He's so fluid. His swing is picture perfect. I mean, he is a future big leaguer. I'm going to make a Peter guarantee right now. On this day, April 18th, 2024, Arjen Nallama will be a big leaguer at some point. I don't know when. Don't know when that's going to be. I'm not willing to go that far on my guarantee, but I think this guy has the makings of a five-tool player. He's very fluid at shortstop. Just got good size as well. I think as he fills out his frame a little bit more, he's going to get more power into his bat. And he's 18. It's his first real experience of pro baseball. I know he played 9 games last year, but it wasn't really a big sample size, and you can't really judge him off of those 9 games. So this is his first full season in professional baseball. It's going to take him some time. He's definitely a project that the Blue Jays picked in the first round of last year's draft, but he's exciting, and I think he's not that not as far away as some people might think. I'm hearing like 6 years from now. No, I
Three to
think
four.
in maybe 3 or 4 years time. Exactly, Nick. I think he'll be ready to go in the major league level, and maybe that's why the Blue Jays haven't signed Bo Bichette yet to a long-term extension. Maybe I know, it's scary to think about, but maybe they have that much faith in Arjen Nallama. Maybe they see that much in his player profile that he projects as an everyday shortstop at the big league level. Only time will tell. He's 18 years old, but he's so exciting to watch. So make sure to check out the Dunedin Blue Jays if you want to take a look at how this prospect is progressing, because I think he's going to be special. And those numbers that were shown right there don't look too pretty right now, but by season's end, I expect him to be in the 800 OPS range. Could book that too.
Yeah, it's another Peter guarantee. I think that. I mean, I agree, and I think that we'll be keeping an eye, or we definitely will be keeping an eye on some of these prospects during the off days, because we know how baseball goes. There's definitely not many of them, so when we get our chance to do it, we will. But that'll wrap it up. The Blue Jays play the knuckleballer, Matt Waldron, tomorrow, so that'll be a fun one for all of us to watch. I can't wait to see Vladdy potentially swing at some of these pitches and hopefully hit one out. But if you want to check out our video, you can actually click on your screen now, and we'll see you later.